Good morning. It's Friday, and another week is going down the tubes. March 13th. Ooh, Friday the 13th fell on a Friday this month. Anyway, normally what I'm doing with these is expanding a bit on what I posted the night before. Today I wanted to do something a little different, and so bear with me if I also go a little bit longer than usual. And I'm calling this one, Do Not Be Afraid, because we are in a world that seems to be panic-driven these days. And so the question is, what is the Christian response? Well, for one thing, we read from Paul in Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. Here's the thing. Too often we quote, well, don't be anxious, as if we can just stop. But what Paul gives us here is how we are not to be anxious, by taking everything to God. And this is a time when, as Christians, we shouldn't be panic-stricken. I don't even want to get into the validity, lack thereof, whatever, of people's fears today. The fact is that we do not need to be afraid. We need to be responsible. We need to take the proper precautions with life in general and with disease these days, currently, specifically. But we're not to live in fear. After all, Christ said in Matthew 28:20, behold, I'm with you always, even to the end of the age, and this isn't it. And the whole point is, when things go like this is an opportunity for us as believers, one, to depend on the Lord so we have peace in the midst of this craziness, and two, use this as an opportunity to share that peace with others. How we respond as Christ's ambassadors becomes a factor in how we can share the gospel and the opportunity to find peace with others. And believe me, these are the opportune times. So pull it together. Don't let anger, don't let frustration about whether it's government or disease, I don't care. The real question is, how are we going to represent Christ? How are we going to live as Christians as we present ourselves? I remember back in the Y2K paranoia, which turned out to be nothing, there was one church that pulled together as a church. They put up food stocks. The world was coming to an end after all. They also armed themselves, so if anybody tried to get anything from them, they'd be able to defend themselves. I'd like to see where that's in Scripture. Instead, we're supposed to be caring for one another, and for the first and foremost, for those within our own body, absolutely. But we're to show God's love to the community of people around us as well. So what we need to ask ourselves individually, as local communities of believers, as Christians all over the world, how are we representing Him? How are we offering peace and a solution to not just anxiousness, but to being panic-stricken to those around us? I hope you might find this a bit helpful. If you do, feel free to share. And have a blessed and peaceful day. He's obviously not being too peaceful. And Lord willing, and the rapture doesn't occur, I'll see you again tomorrow.